They live their lives in front of us. Every photo, every interview, every frame of film, documented, archived, replayed a million times. And yet, in all that light, some of the biggest names on earth have shadows that will not go away. Tonight, 10 theories the internet refuses to bury. Some are absurd, some are unsettling, and a few you will not be able to unsee. A warning before we begin. Nothing here is proven. These are stories, whispered in comment sections, stitched together from grainy photographs and coincidences that feel a little too neat. Our job is simple. Lay out what people believe and why. Where the truth ends and the theory begins is for you to decide. Counting down from 10. Number 10. We start with a theory that sounds like fiction. The claim, the real Avril Lavigne died in the early 2000s, overwhelmed by sudden fame, and a lookalike, allegedly named Melissa, was quietly brought in to take her place. Believers comb through old photos, frame by frame, pointing to a different smile, a shift in her handwriting, freckles that appear and vanish. They read her lyrics like a hidden confession, as if she's been telling us the truth the whole time. The rational answer is that people simply grow up and change, but stare at those side-by-side images long enough, and a cold little question starts to form. What if they're right? Number 9. This one goes deeper and darker. Some believe that certain stars aren't replaced by lookalikes at all, but by clones. The theory points to actors who seem to vanish for a stretch, then return looking subtly, impossibly different, slightly altered face, personality that doesn't quite match. Megan Fox became the internet's favorite example, with fans insisting the woman on today's red carpets isn't the same one from a decade ago. Skeptics call it aging, surgery, and good lighting. Believers call it something engineered in a room we're never allowed to see. The unsettling part isn't the science. It's how badly people want it to be true. Number 8. This one is genuinely strange. In 1996, 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey was found dead in her family's home. Number 8 is the one almost everyone has heard and almost nobody has checked. The claim is that when Walt Disney died in 1966, his body was not buried or cremated at all. It was frozen and is waiting somewhere beneath a theme park for medicine to catch up. Believers point to his fascination with the future, to the secrecy around his final weeks, the fact that the first human being ever cryogenically frozen was preserved just weeks after Disney died. The records say otherwise. He was cremated 2 days after his death, and his ashes are in a cemetery in Glendale, California, where anyone can go and look. But the story survives because it is a better ending. The man who spent his life building tomorrow does not simply stop. Then a single video clip changed everything. During a televised interview, as Beyonce sat down, her midsection appeared. To some viewers, fold in a way a real pregnancy shouldn't. That was all it took. The theory exploded, that she used a surrogate and wore a prosthetic to hide it, for reasons no one can quite agree on. Her camp dismissed it as a wrinkle in the fabric and nothing more. But the clip still circulates today, paused and zoomed and replayed, a few frames that refuse to let the rumor rest. Number 6. This one lives in the world of hip-hop. The theory claims that the real Marshall Mathers died or was killed around 2006, near the lowest, darkest point of his life, and that everything since has been a clone or a hired double or something worse. Believers say his face changed too sharply, that his voice and flow shifted, that his newer music sounds like it was written by someone studying him rather than being him. The likelier truth is a man who nearly lost everything, got clean, and came back different, because that's what survival does to a person. But the theory persists, because his comeback almost felt too complete to be real. Number 5. For decades, a rumor has followed one of the most beloved musicians alive, that Stevie Wonder isn't actually blind. Believers stitch together moments. A camera he seemed to catch as it fell. A phone he appeared to hand back before it hit the ground. Stories from people who swear he reacted to something he shouldn't have been able to see. Even other celebrities have joked about it out loud. There is no real evidence, and the theory is almost certainly false, but it's sticky because it dares to ask an uncomfortable question about fame itself. How much of what we're shown is performance, and how would we ever know? Number 4. Some theories are born from fear. This one is born from love. Fans notice something odd about Keanu Reeves. Across old paintings and century-old photographs, faces appear that look almost exactly like him. From there, a legend grew that he never ages, that he's lived many lives across the centuries, quietly reappearing in each one. It's not a serious accusation. It's a kind of tribute, a way of saying, a man this kind and this constant can't possibly be bound by normal time. It's the one theory on this list people hope is true, and maybe that's the most human thing about it. Number 3. On August 16, 1977, the king of rock and roll was pronounced dead, and almost immediately people refused to believe it. Sightings poured in from gas stations, diners, and airports across the country. Believers point to a misspelling on his gravestone, to a supposed insurance policy, to a man in the background of a later film who looked just like him, claiming he staged the whole thing to finally escape the crushing weight of being Elvis. Every reported sighting has faded into rumor, but the theory taps into something we all quietly wish for our idols, that they didn't really leave, that somewhere they're finally free. Number 2. This is perhaps the most enduring conspiracy in music history. Tupac Shakur was shot in Las Vegas in September 1996 and died days later. But almost 30 years on, millions still believe he survived, that he faked his death to escape the violence closing in around him and slipped away to live in secret. Believers cite his obsession with the imagery of Machiavelli, an author who once wrote about faking one's own death to outwit enemies. They point to songs released after he was gone, to blurry photos, to lyrics they read as clues left behind on purpose. The evidence is thin, the longing is enormous, and that combination is exactly what keeps a legend breathing. Number 1. The theory that started them all. The claim Paul McCartney died in a car crash in 1966, and the surviving Beatles, unwilling to lose everything, secretly replaced him with a look-alike, then buried clues in their own music to confess. Believers say the album covers are a funeral procession. They point to a barefoot figure said to symbolize death, to a license plate they read as his age had he lived, to sounds they claim reveal the truth when played backward. Paul himself has laughed it off for over 50 years, and still it survives. The original, the blueprint, the theory that taught the whole world how to look for a dead man hiding in plain sight. 10 theories, no verdicts, because the truth about conspiracies is that the facts were never really the point. The wanting is. We build these stories because the alternative, that the people we watch are just as mortal and ordinary as we are, is somehow harder to accept. Which one got under your skin? Tell me below. And if you made it this far, you already know you're staying for the next one.